Okay, my friends, I have been railing against Fermilab for many years now. And finally, it's a major shakeup coming for Fermilab. Troubled U.S. Particle Physics Center. Department of Energy opens new competition for a contract to manage the storage facility. It's not the management, it's the science. Let me show you, we have done what they want to do, and we did it for virtually nothing. And it needs to be seen and used so we can get something out of this enormous expenditure. Okay, so what is Fermilab? It has this particle accelerator. We have our own particle accelerator, only we don't use protons, we use photons. Now listen to this. They're saying, in an unusual move, the Department of Energy has quietly begun a new competition for the contract to run the United States' sole dedicated particle physics laboratory, announced in January. The rebid comes 1 year after Fermilab, which is managed in part by the University of Chicago, failed an annual DOE performance review, and 9 months after it named a new director. DOE would not comment, but observers say its frustration includes cost increases and delays in a gargantuan new neutrino experiment. Well, what is a new neutrino experiment? Do you want to see what neutrinos are? I can show them to you, because we actually can create them. Okay, here's Fermilab looking for these neutrinos. Neutrinos, Majorna or Dirac. This is a black and a white attached together. And sometimes they don't see them exactly like the black and the white, so they really don't know. Is it this or is it this, or they really don't know. And I can tell you it's both, but I'll show you that in a minute. Now, here's their claim, which is completely incorrect. Nearly massless. These subatomic ghosts can penetrate anything. Many trillions of neutrinos that originate in the thermonuclear furnace of the sun pass through you every second of your life. If you filled space from here to the nearest star, about 5 light years, with solid lead, you'd stop about half the sun's neutrinos. Neutrinos really don't interact much. They interact instantaneously. I'll show you. These particles will never go anywhere. They're just, it's incredible what they think. I'm going to show you neutrinos. Don't forget the black and the white. Well, let's go to my panel here. All right, the black and the white is the Dirac neutrino. Sometimes they're in the between and they're not sure what they are. Well, here's the black and the white right here. You see the black and the whites together? Let me turn this light off. It makes it a little easier to see. Maybe, or maybe not. Hold on. Alright. So what do we got? These are the blacks and the whites. But sometimes they look like this. They don't know what to think when they're not in their neutrino phase, or the phase they can see them where they're easily seen as a structure. These are what's called the flavors of neutrinos. Now you see over here, you got black, white, black, they look like Oreo cookies. This particular line hits our accelerator venturi right there. And that's the reason they accelerate. And as they accelerate, they start to push up against each other, because this is bouncing back. You see these waves bouncing back? These are reverse EMF, reversed electromagnetic fields. And they are concussing with these other particles that are not really concussing with anything normally. See them up here? Nothing. But these are coming back at them pretty hard, so they are also concussing. But this is the main concussion point, is straight through the center. So this is one type of neutrino. This is another type of neutrino here. These are photons. This is another type, which is yikes. And this one here is when they split. And they do split, and they split very nicely. And here's where they're splitting. Where is it? Well, this is a particle as it comes forward. I showed you the two blacks and the two whites together. One can get glowy and have all those little particles it's crashing into. These ones here make it get real glowy. Because anytime you push something against anything else, I don't care what it is, the fields gain a glowiness to them, which is an energetic value. Pushing and shoving is energy. It's just like Tesla said. Vibration and frequency, and you can change both of those and create a push to shove that is a perfect bounce back and forth where you really can create some energetic. It's like a basketball. If you do it just right, you got some serious action going on there. Well, you got nothing. So it's push to shove, and this is coming through the air just violently, and this is the particle in its black and whiteness. All right, so don't forget, it has a little fuzzy edge around it, exactly like Don Lincoln says. Well, here it is, right here. Here's his statements about that. Here's the particles. Same two particles. And they react identically to what I show. All right, the summary, the extended particle, the black one, is fixed, never changes. It has a fuzzy edge around it. Yes, that's the color. Point-like particles are mathematical abstractions with no size at all, zero size. But they have an extended field due to the effect of the field surrounding them. So they are the ones that glow and push, and these are just the same size. They never change. One size fits all. And they are saturated through the universe, and that's why empty space isn't empty. Again, Fermilab. All right, they're making all these statements. These are not my statements. It says empty space experiences subatomic particles winking in and out of existence. These subatomic particles are real and have a measurable impact on our universe. Yet they say the universe is a vacuum. No, it's not. It's completely saturated, first of all, with dust. I mean, if you can't see this, look at this. This was a picture they took the other day. Look at that. That's going into space. If they don't think light slows down coming through that, they're insane. And they never even mention this. Look at this thing. Look at that. I sort of understand that because of electron flood theory. It makes sense because of electron flood theory. There are shells of electrons, which they've always known this. There's orbitals and shells, yes. They react differently because the core is dark matter. It's not just... well, you know, it almost is like a proton and an electrons. It really is, you know. The more you think about it, but it's when you get it, oh boy, it comes close because the core is completely dark, is a black ball I showed you before, and then surrounding is the most bright part. And then it gets a little less bright, and then it gets less bright as it goes out. And then you'll get these flares that are trying to get in, and they're just being pushed away. You know, you stay out of there, get out of here. These four things. But they're trying to weasel their way in between these little bumps. You see the little bumps? Those are magnetic particles. And where those magnetic particles come together, there'll be a field that comes around here like this. And that'll have a field that comes around like this. And that's trying to wiggle in through that field. But then they start pushing it away, and it just pushes all the energy out into space because it has no, you know, it can leave fairly easily. Red is not held tightly. It's just very easy to push that stuff away. Okay, my friends, I have been fighting the system since day one of me breathing oxygen. Everything I look at, I need to confront, and nobody will speak because when I confront them, they can't confront back because it destroys everything they said, and there is no way for them to dispute what I'm saying. Now, this guy here is Mr. Tour, Dr. Tour. He's talking about the origins of life, and it's a controversial chemist, he is, shakes up the scientific community, problems with the primordial soup. Now, I don't know if he understands what I am all about with the mud fossils, and I now have literally almost undisputable proof that everything in space is biology, everything on Earth is biology. There's nothing that came from anywhere other than biology. Now, God is, to me, biology. Who started it, where it came from to start, I have no idea. And nobody does. There's not a single person on the face of this planet or in history that can say where God came from if their God made everything. Did God make everything? Well, I'm starting to think yes, but how did he get here? We got some serious discussions to do. And that is exactly what I'm in the process of doing with some very, very scholarly, studied, spiritual people. They have gone through all the ancient texts, as I have, but I haven't combed through them like they have. I have some very, very talented people that we will be talking, doing YouTube videos to try to explain what the ancient past is trying to tell us. And it's always been dismissed and laughed at and all so forth. And the problem is academia. Academia is straight across the board destroyed society, destroyed it. And it's because they are the dominators. They are like individual little dictators everywhere. Every professor is a dictator right now. They say, you say what I tell you to say or I'll destroy your life. And that's exactly what's happening. Now, this is what's going on here. He's talking to, I believe his name is James Tour. And they're talking about bringing Jesus into science and religion and so forth, because it all fits together. There's nothing separate here. Not a single molecule is separated from our original existence. Where do we come from? We didn't come from a test tube. Maybe we did. But what I'm getting at is we didn't just come out of nowhere, but yes, we did. So nobody can answer that question. Somewhere from nowhere, we are here. But the problem we have now is that the people that are dictating to us that what we have to say to become accepted is not right. It's just not right. And they know it isn't right now. Now listen to this. They're discussing these issues right now.
Oh, just to close, one final question to close. You've described beautifully the problem, not only with the science, but the problem with the reaction to questioning. But this is not new. An English physicist called Herbert Dingle was questioning Albert Einstein's work. And he came up with a question, and he wanted the question answered. And he tried, and he tried, and he tried through all of the formal processes. And he was president of the Royal Astronomical Society. So he wasn't a minor player. He was part of the scientific establishment. And he could not get the question addressed. So he eventually went to the equivalent of YouTube in the 1960s, which was the Listener magazine, a fairly intellectual but for the public magazine, and he had letters published in there, and there was a bit of exchange, and then it was closed down. And he had a question, said, give me the answer to the question. If you've got an answer, give me the answer. And the closest he ever got to someone actually answering the question was a scientist who said, well, your mistake is so obvious, it's beneath my dignity to answer it. They said, no, please, I've been at this for 25 years. I've been asking this question for 25 years. You know why I'm wrong. Tell me. No. And he never got an answer. He couldn't get an answer, and he found there was a fundamental problem in the scientific world because it was split between the mathematicians and the experimenters. And the experimenters didn't understand the mathematics. And the mathematicians were going down routes which were theoretically interesting on a mathematical basis, but didn't necessarily have any physical reality at all. And the two areas had become separate. And there was no integration, there was no coherency, there was no substantial reasoning going on. It was this very rarefied mathematical analysis, and everyone just assumed that the mathematical physicists were doing that right because no one could understand what it was.
That's exactly right. This has just happened to me just a couple of weeks ago. I'm taking a course at the UC Berkeley, and they're cooperating with University of Tokyo, and so it's both of them together. But they're presenting this Big Bang to dark matter course. So I'm taking it. And the first question I asked is, how can you say that space is a vacuum when it's filled with dust and light particles and everything else? And even Fermilab says it is saturated with particles. But they don't. They just breeze right over it. And know what their answer was? That's a good question. And then they just shut me right off. And then there was a whole bunch of mathematical symbols that says this is why we know the universe is expanding. No, the universe is not expanding. Light is slowing down because it's forcing its way through all this matter, which is not a vacuum. It's not a vacuum. They know it's not a vacuum. Absolutely not a vacuum. Not a single scientist on the face of this planet can even start to say that space is a vacuum. There's solar wind, there's solar dust, there's light, there's even water and everything else in space. There's all kinds of meteorites and asteroids and dust and comas and just debris. Light always slows down when it comes through anything that it presents resistance to that light, and that is any dust, any light, anything whatsoever that it has to push through slows it down. The universe isn't just pulling everything away from us. It's absolute nonsense. Hubble doesn't work, and I can't get an answer to my questions either. I have gone years and years and years and years with my mud fossils and my light research, and exactly what he's saying. They refuse to answer because they are literally lost. Literally lost. They have no idea what light is. They have no idea how the subatomic nucleus is constructed of. And I have all of those answers. And Fermilab right now is in deep trouble for being so incompetent. And I want to be considered for the research that Fermilab has failed to do. All right, this is pretty good. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched enough to know that I like this guy, James Tour, and he appears to be extremely competent in chemistry, which is my passion. Basically, I'm certainly not as competent as he is, but I do have some knowledge about it. And the physicists have none, zero, absolute, unbelievable lack of understanding of the molecules and so forth. He seems to understand.
To go, and I'm going to go right after these guys. And if you've seen some of my recent videos, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going right after their science, and I'm tearing it apart. People who generally are watching YouTube videos on this are not reading the scientific articles. So I'm going to use that medium and go right after them using that medium. Chemists have bemoaned the fact that the world doesn't listen to chemists. They don't really know what's going on in our field. Well, we're getting the word out there now through social platforms. And they'll say, well, why don't you just publish papers? Because I have. Other people have. Nobody's listening.
I've published dozens and dozens of papers, and I get 100 reads or something like that, and that's it. And everybody else has the same thing. I get probably more reads than most of the top scientists. I'm not kidding you. Nobody reads them. They don't bother reading the papers because it's all nonsense. In the first place, you can't make any understanding of it because they're just contorting everything to fit whatever they want to express as their opinion, which is all theoretical. There is nothing. I am a scientific material scientist. If I can't show you, if I can't demonstrate physically what I am saying, I don't even say it. Now, I do go back to some of the ancient texts because all of the things that I have found seem to be supported by these ancient texts. Very, very, very strange, I have to admit, but the ancient texts point out a lot of the things that none of these scientists will engage into because they're just scared to death of it. It takes away their status. And that's what it's all about. And this guy, James Tour, is going after them to say, you people have no idea what you're doing, and you're leading people away from everything that is right into everything that is wrong. And that puts them in a position where they have no moral foundation whatsoever. It's all, whatever's good for you is the best thing that you can possibly do. Other people don't matter. Basically, that's what this all about now is science. Is you are on your own. Make sure that you can fool everybody else and make as much money as you can. That's what life is all about. No, it's not. It's not at all. Okay, my friends, this is going to be extremely interesting. Fermilab, who I have been not so happy with, is going under a major shakeup for Fermilab, the troubled U.S. Particle Physics Center. Bad management and no science there. Let me show you why I say no science. All right, these are the particles that they are looking for, and they have found them, but they just see them in debris. One of them is a muon, one of them is an electron neutrino. Back to back, they form a Dirac neutrino. And here's what the Dirac is. Right there. All right, so it's either this or that. They don't know. It's this and that. It's both. And it can be just this and just that. And I can show all of those actually happening. And here they are right here. These are the two particles they're talking out of Fermilab. And again, they just see them in debris. We see them in the actual light. You see that? That's the same particles. Identical, and they are identical in description to what Don Lincoln and Fermilab had to say about them. The black one never changes size. Fixed size. Never changes. The white one can get small. It can get big. You're seeing it right there. Now what happens, what do they want to do? They want to create just this particle and just that particle separated. Well, guess what? We did it. Now they're trying to do it with gigantic things. We're doing it with little bitty particles of light. There's the black, all by itself. And there's the white, all by itself. Exactly like they say. There's the Dirac neutrino, the black and the white ball. When it hits a new medium, the black goes on its own, the muon, because it never changes, a fixed size. This one gets squishy and blows up and does all kinds of things, and there it is right there. And we accelerated that light. It's been showing this to Fermilab for 7 years. And they refuse to engage, and these are the particles. So it's a good thing we're getting them moving, getting them out of the way. I was trying to deal with Don Lincoln. I thought he was the director. He's just a volunteer. He's like a mascot. he puts up dozens and dozens of videos. It's just all nonsense. And I'm trying to communicate with him because he says, if you have a question, I did. And it was just complete, utter. He called me a tinfoil hat guy, and I should leave it up to the experts, like him. And I told him, I said, Don, you're going to be in trouble by the time this is done, brother, because I got everything you're looking for. I'm showing the particles that you are showing. I'm saying them. They do exactly what you say. This one doesn't glow at all. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't have any size to speak of that I can determine. This one is just like a bowling ball. It never changes. And this one comes in all these different colors. You see the different colors? The black is the attractor. It attracts all of these colors. And the closer they are, the more glowy the color is. Red is way out at the end, very weak. Then you get color, 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 till you get white and black together. And that is really the dipole. That is where all your energy is. And that is what we caused to separate. When you separate them, you create enormous amounts of re-attraction energy. And this is what we want to do, is be able to use that to help mankind, which was what Fermilab was supposed to do, and completely failed in their obligations to us as a government, literally a government agency. And I'm going to show you how we can do this, because everything I am about to show you was done with exactly what you see on this table right here. That was all we used to do what Fermilab has been trying to do, spending billions and billions of dollars. And this gigantic neutrino experiment. I'll show you neutrinos, and I think I already have. But we can create them and squirt them out all day long. All right, so don't forget, these are the neutrinos, the black and the white. And in between, sometimes they're different. They're kind of crazy. This is the same thing here, the black and the white. But in between, as they're stacking up against each other, they have less and less or more and more energy. But when they're dead tight together, as in a photon, they are right there, the Dirac neutrinos. And that is what they're looking for, and that is their mission, and that's what they have failed to do. And now they have some gigantic, huge thing, ice cube. It's unbelievable. And the amount of money they're gushing into this is just staggering. And we did everything right here that they want to do for less than $1,000, easily less. Now, if you want to get into physics, there is no better time, because the standard model is kaput. This is the dark matter. It's a dark matter. It's in every single thing that you're looking at right now is completely saturated with dark matter behind the glowy part. The only thing that bounces back light to us is the glowy part. So the dark goes to the center. It's the core. And here's what I'm going to show you the particles actually look like. And the reason we've never seen the core, because by the time you get to be a proton, here it is. Oh, wait a minute, it's down here. All right, this is what a proton looks like. Now, and somebody did this for me, and I can't remember, and I lost who it was, so I hope they respond, and I want to give them credit for doing this. They made a whole bunch of little things for me, and we were going back and forth. So anyway, this is basically what the proton is constructed of. Dark matter always goes to the center. It's always the core of the nucleus of a proton. Now, when you get down into light, totally different story. Light is just two dipoles back to back. But once you start to build a stable nucleus, which is 1,823 particles together, creates a center black core and then a very tight ring of energetic particles, and then another black ring, keeping these energetic particles away from these energetic particles. They don't want to get next to each other, so they create this buffer zone in between them. Then you have another layer of pushy shovey ones, the glowy ones. Then you have a dark layer. Then you have the last layer, which is, you'll always have the glowy particles surrounding completely 100%, no matter what the shape, what the size, they will always surround protons. Always. There's 1,823 basic electrons, but the white can separate from the black very easily. I thought they were just totally glued together and they could never separate. They can separate, but they will always be pushed to the center. There will always be black in the center. Now I think I had another one here too. No, I guess not. But anyway, that's what the protons look like. So in other words, it's not like one big ball like this that you can smash to bits and it shoots off all kinds of little particles, quarks and gluons and leptons and all kinds of things they see. Because when they break this, sometimes they see just one of these or two of these or four of these, but they see very small amounts of them and they think they're stable. They're not. The only thing that exists is a black one and a white one, or a colored one. You see these colors here? I think I showed this to you. The further they get away from the nucleus, and the nucleus is always going to be black, always. That's going to be black, really literally attached to a white. And I can show you that in the light experiments. And then it goes to colors after that, which are less energetic than the two of them actually tightly attached. But that is not a proton, and that is not a neutron. This is basically just like that, only every one of these is part of this ball. All right, and when they talk about one particle being fixed, which is the black one, just like this, fixed. The white one is not. It can go glowy, it can go squishy, it can go wormy, it can go like this. It can puff up like that. It depends on what it's hitting or what it's trying to squirt through. We squirted ours through the Venturi. This one hit the Venturi and said, "Oh, I can't get through, I can't get through, I can't get through, I can't get through." Pulse, pulse, pulse. But this stuff says, so we're squirting this, just like squirting water through that tube. Let me show you precisely what we did. And this, I think, should create us free energy. And I want to be heard at Fermilab. And I am a taxpayer. And I want this to be examined. It could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But I don't think so. All right, here's the deal. They see one of these has, they call it matter. Well, the black is the muon, which is also antimatter, dark matter. Oh, boy. All right, here's the deal. That side is the muon. It's dark matter, it's gravity, and it will pull this white matter to it desperately. They want to be attached. Very difficult to break them apart. The only way you can do it is either hit them head on, like they're trying to do at CERN and Fermilab, and explode them. And then all you do is see all kinds of debris flying around. You have no idea how they started. Now, what I am saying is this is the dark side, and this is the glowy side. They call it matter, antimatter. What it now is known of is a muon neutrino and an electron neutrino. Together they form a Dirac neutrino. This is what Fermilab's mission in life was, to look for these. I found these and showed them. I say this is literally what an electron really is. And the glowy part, you take these together and you have a photon. The photon comes through the air like this, and this one starts to glow, 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 real bright. And then it flips. And then this one starts to glow. There's a downspin, upspin, downspin, upspin. The wobble is what's called the muon wobble. And all they are is two gluons, which are nothing more than two electrons. This is one that's not excited, and this is the one that's going through the front and getting excited. And as it gets excited, this one has no excitation, so it's no glowy, no pushy. Blip. Now it comes forward and starts to glow and push. And what you can see this happen right here. This is the glowy pushy. You see that? The forward leading tip. Let me turn this light off. It makes it easier to see. Here we go. Now, what do we have? This is the particle. All right, it's coming through the air like this. The bottom one is this glowy part. The top one is behind and not glowing. Very shortly, this will go blip, and this one will go in front and be concussing and charging up. And this one will discharge. Then a little further down, it'll go blip, and down the bottom will start to interact. These are the interactions that cause the glow. Anytime you push against anything else, I don't care what it is, you have glow. Now, can I tell you what's going on in there? You look at that and you say, oh, those are all red. And I say, well, I can't disagree with that. I don't see any black in there. All I see is red. However, once you start to really concuss it, once you really start to concuss it like this, you see the black separate from the white. You see that black? That black, every one of those black balls is the same size. Even though you see them hidden down under the white a little bit, every black ball is identically the same size. Identically the same size. They never change size. They are always, 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 always the same size. The white can go bloop, bloop. It can go like this. It can go right like this, right through there. And this keeps going bang, bang. Let me show you something. All this is, literally, is this. That's a nail. And that's a nail. And this light has to get through this. And all of their fields have to force. And when they come through there, the black can't get through. The blacks are, let's say, this big. They come up and they can't get through. So they keep piling up here, just as you see them piling up here. This is exactly what happens. And what it does is it hits here and it just squirts this through like squirting water out of a hose. But you're not squirting the black with it, you're just squirting the white. These are all exactly the same size. this is not a good representation because these are all identically the same size, the blacks. They will never, ever, ever, ever change that size. One size fits all, and one size fits all colors. It's not just red. It's not just red. Hold on, hold on one second. All right, you see this? You want to get scared? I can scare you pretty damn quick, and I'm going to do it right now. This goes back to 1955. This is Operation Q, atomic bomb blasts. Now, atomic bombs are in the kiloton range. Hydrogen bombs are in the megaton range. I want them to explain to you what that means to us. Listen to this, because what I'm going to show you goes back to 1955.
We are about to say, we must remember that the explosive power of atomic bombs used in this test was in the kiloton range. The explosive power of today's hydrogen bomb is measured in terms of megatons. What does that mean to us? It's a matter of practical application. It takes 1,000 kilotons to equal...
All right, so for every megaton bomb now, they have huge numbers of megatons. It's 1,000 kilotons. We are down in the kiloton range, which I'm going to show you blowing this house down. And just think of thousands of times past that.
Equal 1 megaton. And by applying the scaling laws, the proportionate comparative effects of a larger bomb can be determined. The A bomb exploded here was rated at approximately 30 kilotons. For comparison, let's use a 20 megaton H bomb. The 20 megaton bomb, therefore, would be 667 times as strong as a 30 kiloton bomb. The relationship between distance for any given pressure and the size of nuclear weapons follows the cube root scaling law. So theoretically, a hydrogen bomb of 20 megatons at approximately 8.5 miles would have about the same destructive power as an atomic bomb of 30 kilotons at 1 mile. In this test, many of the structures were approximately 1 mile from ground zero.
All right, that's enough to see. Let's see what happens, and I will explain to you what is happening. All right, as I have shown you or will show you, there are two particles, the black and the white. The first is the white being pushed by the black, and the white has no mass. It has no mass. It's not going to push anything away. It just incorporates its electron field into the other electron fields, and everything glows, and anything combustible will burn. Burning means that it's shedding off some of its electrons, the weak electrons that are held. When electrons are really, really tightly bound in metals and so forth, they don't shed off like that. They don't burn. They're not combustible. All this stuff here is combustible. Now, this is atomcentral.com, and this is what they were just talking about, this Q explosion. This is about a mile away. Apparently, that's what they're saying now. I'm just going by what they're saying. And this goes way back to, I don't know, 1955 or whatever. And don't forget, this is 20 to 30 kilotons versus, forget about it. Here we go. Now, I got this turned to slow motion. Boom. See this? Now, what is it doing? It's just burning. Nothing happened yet. That's just the white particles hitting. Now the black will come after the combustion is done, and all the white has gone now. Now the black come. Boom, there it goes. Two complete, separate, totally opposite things. Now everything comes back, because where it all came from is a void now. So everything, want to look at it one more time? Here it goes. Yes, everything's fine. Watch these poles, watch these wires, everything except the metals and so forth are extremely tightly bound, but everything else just vaporizes. See it? Watch. The air, everything in the air molecules vaporize. Look at the poles. Everything that has any ability, there's not burning because they're directly in line, just as the house is, but boom, there it goes. Now the black ones come, and the black ones have no burn. They're just fixed particles like bowling balls, and that's the end of that. No. So, let's go back and look a little deeper at this. All right, so, in actual, literally, not figuratively, literally. That is a subatomic nuclear explosion. Subatomic. It's not, they're not full atoms. Full atoms, when they break, you get nuclear radiation, which means that you get big particles, and when they're shooting off rays, they're throwing off hand grenades. We're using light, so we're not, I don't think, in any danger of causing any serious damage to anything, because they start to come back right together almost instantaneously. This is very, very tiny little distance. This is extremely magnified. And this is where the explosion takes place, and that's that black wave pushing the white wave. The white wave just burnt the house. It just burnt it, burnt it, burnt it, burnt it, burnt it, burnt it, burnt it. Bam! The house goes. The black is a bowling ball. You look at it, it's just a nice, clean, black ball, black line. All right, get out of the way, white. I'm pushing. Well, actually, they're stuck together. But the white is just glowing. You can see how intensely glowing it is. I say there's a hell of a lot of energy there. Now, if that's true, and we can say, black, you stay on the whole other side, white, you can come through, and we can do that. Which Rod did it here. This one does exactly what we want to do. Now, why does exactly what we want to do? Why is it exactly what we want to do? Well, I'll show you why it's exactly what we want to do. Hold on. All right, so what is the energetic value that we're extracting here? Why will this increase energy? The black and the white want to be attached together desperately. That is what electricity is, where the white flows to the dark core. And the earth is loaded with dark matter. It has to be. The white, right to earth. Lightning bolts, static electricity, snap right to earth. Electricity, you grab an electric wire, that electricity, this white, these pushy particles, will flow right through you to ground to try to get to the black, which is the ground. Earth is saturated with black particles. We know they can separate. Some of them are black, and some of them are white. The white ones are being used as energy and heat, and plants are growing with them, and the black ones seem to, there must be extra black ones, and there must be extra black ones laying around for this to have happened. And what had to have happened, Roger? Well, this. They came through here, we saw them, they were stacked together. Well, let's look at them again. I don't want to lose you on this. I don't want to lose you. All right, so what did we have before? We had these particles. Were light. And we saw them coming through the air. I may not have that shot here. No. Oh, yes, I do. Here it is. Let me turn this off again. Oh. Now, what do we see? These are the particles of light. We never see those because they never interact strongly enough to see, to visualize them. And then you need CMOS to see it, because CMOS picks up on the luminosity, and this is when they become extremely luminosity. Now, what is this? That's a neutrino. And it's one of the flavors of neutrino. In other words, it has two blacks and a white. And they're like an Oreo cookie flat. This one's just got two blacks and a white, but it's standing up straight. This one's like that. This one's like this. You see these? And then these are photons. Now, they're directly in line with the Venturi. That's why they're so pronounced. The other ones are still energetic particles, but you don't see them the way you see these. These are so very, very powerful that you can see them in their exact nature, which is the black and white attached together. And you see how this one here, look at this. You see that one, the white is in the bottom, in the back, and this one, the white, is in the front, and this one's a little bit more glowy than that. The reason is, as they get concussing towards this Venturi, they just start to go into brilliance, and then they explode. But this is why the neutrinos push back and forth with each other. This is more powerful than that one. That one's more powerful than this one. This one's more powerful than that one. And that's what it is. Boom, 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 boom. Those are the neutrinos. That's why they say, anyway, if you want to go deep into that, look into neutrinos. Now, what else did I not show you? The green is the same particle. You saw the particle. Here it is right here, same particle. Identical. And here's the same kind of neutrinos being formed as these show. Now, this one's getting ready to flip. You see how I say the one will charge up and then they'll flip? It's almost flipping. She's almost a flipper. And it's going to go like that, and then that white will go in the front, and that'll charge up. She's ready to flip, Captain. Now, what else? This is space. They say it's a vacuum. I don't see a whole lot of vacuum going on there. I think you need a vacuum out there to clean it up. Oh my, vacuum, I can't believe it. They say Hubble Space Telescope is looking out there through this vacuum so we know how far everything is. Absolutely insanity. Now, I have shown you the particles. I showed you how a house can be knocked down by white. Be burned up by white and knocked down by the black. I showed you we can completely separate them. And I say this right here is the way we can collect that free energy. And here's exactly how it would be done. All right, here's how it would be done using light, which is much more efficient than using protons. First of all, this could be carried around in a little handbag. You could just carry this thing around in a little lunchbox and still have plenty and plenty and plenty of power, I believe. Again, you need a little bit of research on this, but I see an enormous amount of luminosity. Luminosity is increase in energy. The more luminosity, the more energy. Simple as that. Can you harvest that energy? That's the key, and yes, you can. How would you do it? Well, thank you for asking. Here's how you do it. Through this Venturi, tuned correctly, we will not have any black coming through. Just exactly what you see here. No black. Not a taste. What does that mean? That means if we put a harvester right here that says, give me your white, send me your white, and the white goes in here, and it's being slapped through here like a paddle, being spanked right through here. And it's squirting, just like I showed before. I think I showed you. The blacks come up, they can't get through. They're too big. The slot is too tiny. Bang, bang, bang. And these guys say, I can do anything you want. They go squirting through, and then they just go flying off. And it keeps squirting them, squirting them, squirting them. So they can't back out much, and the white just keeps piling up. That's what's happening here. Now, what would we do with that? Right here, before they hit the black, and you want to put it here. I don't care where you put it, as long as we can keep just the white. And I don't know if it creates more showers the further it gets out, and it might, because what's going on here, this is called electron showers. And I believe what is happening is the black, which was attached to the white, and they look to be the same size as far as I could determine, but now they are so excited that the white is like this big. Before it was a little tiny ball like that, just like the black was. But now, when it starts to hit and concuss, its field grows like, just absolutely enormously, as you can see. Now, what does that mean? When it comes through the Venturi, are we just coming out with those fields, or are we concussing with all of the particles? We may have to force other things in here, like oxygen or something with very combustible particles right in between here, and when we hit it, they shower like crazy. But we may just be able to use the light. As far as I'm concerned, these are light particles, or white particles, want so desperately to be attached to the black that when we paddle them through here, slap them through here, they go down right here through this. You have it's basically like a solar collector. Just think of it that way. But there's some new stuff, the transition metals, and they're very, very absorptive of every single frequency. That's the key. So now you get all these different transition metals in these thin films, and it's bam, 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 and it, where does it go? It goes down through what's called a photodiode. What is that, Roger? Well, a photodiode, photo means light, diode means one way, and it's a gate. There's a gate on here. So it comes down, it goes pew, 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 through the gate, slapped forced, paddled, spanked. Boom, 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 boom. It comes through the gate and fills up our batteries or do whatever we want with it. And we could have zillions of these inside, because this is tiny. This is tiny, 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 tiny. This came out of that, just exactly like this. This is what created this. Now, I don't know where it was, whether it was right up close or whether it was back here, but I can't, because I didn't do these. I mean, I did some, but I didn't have the time or the expertise to do what Rod Warren did. He did these. And, you know, we worked back and forth, and it was a really very good cooperation between us. Anyway, that goes back many years, but that's the red. Now, I showed you that the black can go right behind it and force that wave out. I don't think that's what we want. I think this is what we want. And I think we want to be here, and then we want to isolate those whites into a battery. That's what it is. Batteries are the white part. They grow more and more white inside than normal. I never realized the black and the white could separate. But the black is not a proton. The black is the same size as the white. It's part of that Dirac neutrino. These are your neutrinos right here. But the black is dark matter and gravity. And it is all the mass, as I showed you. So I think we could do something here. Now, I want to be considered and talked to about this. It's roger@mudfossils.com. And I would like to discuss it. These are what photons are like. This is the muon, electron neutrino. We can separate them. They claim, what I understand is it's 207 times difference in energy if you can separate the muon from electron neutrino. If that's true, from a 5-watt laser, we should be able to get 1,000 watts of energy. I don't know if that's true at all. I have no idea. All I can tell you is this is much, 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 much more energy than we started with, which was literally nothing. It was literally nothing. Here's what it was before. This is what was coming through the air. You don't see anything. This is just before it starts to accelerate. This is just as it's starting to accelerate. Back here, you got the same pulses coming back here, but you can't even see them because they just come through the air. Like, I turn this laser on now and I put it through the air. Even if I turn the lights off, you can't see it in the air. You can see it when it hits something because it's got a wall to hit against. Well, once you start accelerating the thing, it's just like hitting a wall. This is like a wall of water, basically, and almost exactly what it is. So this is coming through. The only reason this is glowing, like we can see, is because it's starting to accelerate. And then when it does accelerate to its fullest, you get this right here. This is the acceleration phase. Before, we were right here looking at it starting to increase its energy. Then the little particle starts to pull right out of the wave. You see it? And then it really goes crazy because it's bouncing back at itself. You see all this light flashing back here? These are more light waves. This one's coming forward, so it's accelerating. We can see it. These are being pushed back against, just like the atomic bomb. Boom! And all this is the houses back here. They're burning up from the radius of a mile around it. This is just exactly identical to that reaction. Identical. You see this? That is on steroids, my friend. Back here, there was nothing. Absolutely zero. Now, this is reverse EMF. They call that reverse electromagnetic fields. You see those? That is because of this explosion. Bada boom. Now, there's got to be a way to use this. And these are the particles they're looking for. And I have been, again, I don't want to keep pushing this, but I was very upset, and I'm still upset if they won't talk to me. And I've been trying for the last years, daily almost, to try to correspond with somebody. And I've been trying to do the Department of Energy, JPL, CERN, every one of the accelerator places, all the universities. I even went to the University of Geneva and told them what we were doing to accelerate the particles and using CMOS. And guess what? About 2 years later, they shut down CERN and put in focusing magnets, because I told them, I said, we're focusing and we're using CMOS. And then, like I said, they upgraded, a major upgrade to include CMOS detectors and focusing magnets. That's what they did. And now they're getting head-on collisions of huge particles, and they're seeing a lot of debris, much more debris now. So they're happy that they're seeing all this debris, but it still means nothing because it's nothing but garbage. Here's what they see. Here's what they see. Where's theirs? Right here. This is what they see. And they're real happy now because they're getting so many collisions. But the red, again, is the weak stuff. It sort of just floats around. When you get way down to the core, the white and the green and the red, I mean the white, the green, the yellow, all that stuff, when they take off, they go, because those are highly energetic particles. The ones that are very on the far outside, as I showed you before, are much less energetic, and they remain with the, whoops. All right, here's the particle right here. The red can just bounce around and get away a little bit, but when you get down inside of here, when those take off, they take off. And this is basically what the photons look like. And this is the electron and the muon neutrinos. That's what they are. Dipole light particles. All right, so I'm showing some pretty good evidence to support my side of things. This is their Higgs fields. You want to see ours? Don't forget, they're nice, supposed to be round, fluffy little buggers. Well, they are. There's ours. That's what a Higgs field really looks like. And we do this all day long. This just continuously comes. That's the white showers. Every pulse squirts another blast through here. And every blast is nothing but white. And when it hits the black particles there must be extra black particles in the air. That's why I say I think there's extra black just everywhere. And because they're reattaching instantaneously. This is like, you know, nothing. This distance is virtually nothing. And you can see the Higgs fields. Isn't that something? Look at that. They're nothing but white particles. Look at them. Some fabulous work Rod did. Now, what do we got here? Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and again, this is the ones that they're looking for. Here's right there. They're looking for the muon neutrino, electron neutrino, which is the Dirac neutrino. And then they want to see it split into the sterile muon and the electron shower. It can't get any more obvious. There is no more obvious than it can get than this. There it is right there. Boom. Split up. Coming back together. Now that's fission and fusion of photons, not gigantic atoms. Because atoms are literally 1,823 times larger at a minimum. Even the hydrogen nucleus, which was supposed to be one proton, is 1,823 times bigger than the Dirac neutrino. So this is actually the new electron flood theory, and some of this isn't right, I don't think, because see, I had 1,835 electrons before, and the mass is, I don't know, there's some more work to do here, but just think of it this way. The only thing that does exist is the W and Z boson. All the rest of them are made out of those two particles, and the Higgs is nothing more than the two of them combining together. The gluon is nothing more than an electron. Two gluons are nothing more than a photon. And then all of these are the different energetic values as they are moving, concussing with each other. These are all the different neutrino flavors and all the ups and downs, quarks, and you know, trust me, these are the only two. Well, you don't trust me, just look at what I'm showing you. Trust is not required, although it doesn't hurt. As I say, trust me, I never lie and I'm always right. My old boss used to say that. He was funny. Anyway, he was pretty much always right too. Anyway, so this is the dust that's in space, and it's so unbelievable. And this here, this is blowing my mind. That right there, that almost looks just like my electron flood theory. Oh, you see it? You see it? And the spikes are the extra ones trying to get in on the extra 4 sides. See them? And they're saying, no, you can't come in. Get out, get out, get out. And they're pushing them in a way. That's why this flare is going away from them. They're trying to be pushed away, and they're trying to push themselves in. Some kind of energy going on there, which I sort of understand, but I'm really not too sure. But the black core is going to be inside of that white, which is what I tell you. The white will always surround the black, 100%. You don't see the black because the white surrounds it. The white wants to get into the black completely around it, not just half side and the other half. It wants to be completely surrounding it like an eggshell. Then you get a darker region, and then you get another really intense region, and then you get a darker region, and then you get another less glowy region, and then eventually you'll get to the furthest outside of that particular mass. Because the bigger the mass gets, the more obviously you're going to have shells of things around and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as the black hole gets bigger and bigger and bigger in the center. Because the black hole is the attractor. So as that black gets bigger and bigger and bigger, you have to get more and more electrons. They're going to want to get into it. And the electrons are nothing but light and particles that are in space. They're all over. So that's why there's black holes everywhere. And the Russians created one in space that, hold on. See how cool this is? This was in a vacuum chamber in the Russian space station. And all this was from charged micron-sized dust particles that had extra electrons, which is nothing more than basically light particles, which are the electrons of light. I showed you what light is as that white glowy particle. The black particles went right to the center, and all of the glowy ones are around it and surrounded into a black hole. And they freaked out on Earth. One of the guys from Max Planck locked himself in his office for 3 weeks. He was so freaked out. They were expecting to make a lattice-looking shape in there. Everybody pushing everybody else away, keeping their own separate zone. Instead of this, the black's separated from the white. That's a black hole. I don't care how you figure it. That is a black hole. And this is what we have in our galaxy. There's a black hole in the center of this. Exactly the same thing. And it's rotating, pulling all this matter along with it. Why do you have all these breaks in between the arms? Push to shove. Wherever there's white, there's going to be black. Then there's going to be white. Then there's going to be black. Then there's going to be white. Then there's going to be black. And eventually it's to trade off into nothing. And that's exactly what you have here. Push to shove. Push to shove. Push to shove. Push to shove. All of this stuff is cranking its way back around, and just like you would twist it's twisting tight. The tighter the more you twist, the tighter it gets. That's the way it works. And these are what they've always thought were these interference patterns and flappy waves of light. No, these are light, yes, no flappy waves. Push to shove, a break, and in between each section is going to be a no man's zone, a black zone, because we're pushing, then it's black. And we show this very clearly coming out of the, right over here. You see it? They set up these lines. And they're setting them up to say, you stay away from me, I'll stay away from you. You stay away from me, I'll stay away from you. There's so much interaction here that they're just kind of sloppy. But, well, I have some that are not sloppy. Hold on. All right. This is what light looks like. It's not just one little particle. They're just streaming particles coming through there. That's like one pulse of the red laser. I mean, there's just so many particles you can't even imagine. Now, that's that coming through. Here's the particles I want to show you. This is what they call the interference patterns. See the bump, 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 bump. This is through the same thing, exact same thing, this right here. And just shooting down against a wall. And it's light spins. You can see it. That is a spin. That is exactly what a drill bit does. It spins like that. All these particles are spinning as they're going forward. And there's a right-hand rotation. All right, now, what happens? When they hit here, there's so many of them coming that there's like a... They're all doing this everywhere, 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 everywhere. So some of them come through here and go this way. Some of them come through here and go this way. So they sort of spread as they go out. But you can see the lines are so fine. You see that? They turn into little clusters, but the lines are so incredibly fine against each other. It stunned me. The center is where the really concussion is. So all you see is white, and then it starts to get yellowish, and then it turns into red. The red is the most further shifted, and the white is the most impactful, powerful section. And of course, we turned white into just pure white. That's the key, and I think there's power here. What else didn't I show you? This was somebody, I think this was Cornell did this, and I believe these are the Higgs fields coming at us. Now, we tried to communicate with them, but nobody would respond, so I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Cornell, maybe it wasn't, I don't know. But it was somebody that was doing some research, and I believe these are the tips of the fields coming at us, and these are the wells. And these are literally Higgs fields. When the Higgs particles, when the black attaches back to the white, and you can actually see the black and the white combining, I believe that's what a Higgs field really is. When they see those two combining, it's like matter came out of nowhere. That's what they think. They think Higgs fields are matter just popped from nowhere. Well, it's not. It's the two combining back together. And the only time they see them is when they separate them, if that makes any sense. I guess that's it. But that's the particles right there. Those are the particles. And then again, on top of that, space is loaded. Space is absolutely loaded with particles. Empty space isn't empty. Again, Don Lincoln at Fermilab. But again, I thought he was the director there. They gave him an honorary award of being a director. And I don't even think he works there. He's just a volunteer. And I thought I was dealing with somebody that had some authority. And he just kept saying, no, you could lost your nutcase, basically. And infuriated me. I told you, Don, this is not going to play out well for you. They should have had a better mascot. Here he is again, Majorna Diarrhea. I mean, he's got like articles coming out of your ears, but they let him publish. They won't let me publish. And he won't respond to me. So what do you do about that? Okay, so now that I know that Don has nothing to do with being a director, I'm going to try to contact, and I have tried as much as I can. But you can't get through these people. I'm on all kind of spam lists, because once you get somebody in academia put you on a spam list, you're done. And I've been on there, so I don't know if I can get through to them at all. But I want my senator or congressman or somebody to stand up and say, this is not right. I have the particles they've been looking for. I know how to do this. I can do this on a literal shoestring. I mean, this is it. That's it. Everything you saw was done with this. A couple of little lasers, a cell phone, and a couple of nails. And we created muons, electron neutrinos, dark matter. I can't help it. It's funny, but it's tragic. Because I've been forcing this on them, screaming, trying to get somebody to listen, and nobody would listen. And this is exactly what this other guy, James Tour, is talking about. There is no appetite for change in science. Once they get their hands around the controls, you can't release them. It's like, who was it? Fermi, I think. Not Fermi. It wasn't Fermi, it was, who the heck was it? Max Planck. One of his famous quotes was, "Science advances one funeral at a time." Which is exactly true. Once those guys get in control, man, that's it, you're done. They won't listen to you. They destroyed Velikovsky, they destroyed all my research, they destroyed anybody that wants to stand up to the paradigm. Because of their peer review. Peer review destroyed everything. Academia has literally destroyed humanity as far as I can see. Because they take you right away from any kind of morality, first of all. It's all about making money and how you can figure out how to take advantage of the next guy. Basically, that's the way I'm seeing academia now. There should be some sense of morality put in there. And it doesn't seem to be there is. So, that's just another one of my complaints. I got a lot of them. But I want this to be known that we have these particles, and this is insane. And they are looking for somebody to fix this thing up. And I know how to do it pretty quick. And we may be able to get free energy out of that. As far as I know, Fermilab has never delivered a single thing of any benefit to anyone other than their own selves. I suppose that's kind of nasty, but again, it ain't nasty if it's true. Okay, my friends, this is Action Lab. I love this guy, but I just started into it, and right away he's talking about protons being forcing each other apart. Well, protons are not what they thought. Protons are made up of dipoles. I'm just going to let him make his statements, and then I will make my statements, and then you'll see where the truth falls. All right, so here goes. Again, Fair Use Act, I'm not stealing anything. I'm going to rebut what he's saying, because I can tell you right now, I have a completely different opinion of what a proton is than basically everybody else in the world, because I can see the particles, and I know how they interact. It's very simple to see it, and I showed it over and over and over. The last video I just put up shows that we can break the muons and the electron neutrinos apart and create sterile muons and electron showers. And this is what they're trying to do. This is what the whole story of these particle accelerators is all about, is to break the down to find the tiniest particles that exist. What is matter made of? Well, I showed it, and I show it all the time. And I will show it again. As a matter of fact, before I do that, let me show you what matter is made of so that we don't have any confusion. This is what matter is made of right here. These two particles, the black and the glowy one. These two together and these two together. This is a muon and this is an electron neutrino. Muon, neutrino, electron, neutrino. Together they make up a Dirac neutrino. Two Dirac neutrinos make a photon. A photon, the black and the white, can literally be divided into the black all by itself and the white all by itself. A muon neutrino, electron neutrino, back to back is a Dirac. Back to back is a Dirac. Remember it that way. So a neutron and a muon and a neutron, a muon and an electron neutrino. Back to back is a Dirac. And here they are separated. But when they're back to back, they're this particle right here. So forcing them to concuss in the Venturi made them fall apart and become a Dirac because they are back to back. This is what the Dirac is. Now sometimes the black and the white is completely separated and looking like a black and white ball together. They never saw them separated. They just know they have seen the blacks and whites here and there, like Don Lincoln shows here in his this is from Fermilab. They see them. They know the exact same particles. They do exactly what I say they do. So, knowing that we can see matter, we can see the particles, we can see the photons, we can see the electron neutrinos, we can see the stages of the neutrinos changing flavors, we can see the muon and the electron neutrino in their sterile condition. We did exactly, precisely what they're trying to do at CERN and Fermilab, but they're using just too big of particles. All they're getting is a bunch of trash. This is what they're getting right here. They're getting a pile of debris. There's nothing to be learned there other than it's just a bunch of, why is the red ones staying around here real close? Well, because they're not as energetic as the other ones. The other ones were too close to the nucleus. They're way down inside the nucleus, and they take off like a rocket ship. The red ones are outside surrounding the nucleus. They're no big deal. So they just sort of swarm around the outside, see? You start with a black in the center, and then you got white, which is a real powerful, then you got blue, and then green, and then yellow, and then orange, and then red is on the outside. It just bounces away and sort of swizzles around. All right, so let's go back to Action Lab, because I'm going to tell you right now, protons are not what they think.
The nucleus of atoms contains protons that have a positive charge. We know that positive charges repel, and not just a little bit, but...
You see that? We know that the positive charges repel. They do not repel. The positive charges will sit right on top of each other. That's the dark matter. The white ones, which we always consider were the negative particles that are the electrons, they repel, yes. And they have no mass whatsoever, but they burn with a... Well, I can't say no mass whatsoever, but boy, I'll tell you, very little. But they burn everything that they bump into or they incorporate into it. These are just bowling balls. These are carriers of the white particles. So right away, we start off at 30 seconds, I got an issue. All right, let's go back to, well, even earlier.
Repel, and not just a little bit, but they repel each other a lot.
10 seconds.
For example, the two protons in the nucleus of a helium atom are repelling each other electrically with a force of about 20 pounds. Yeah, like 20 pounds is in this much. But that...
Now, if this is true, what he's talking about, he's backwards. It's not the protons. The electrons might do that. I don't know about 20 pounds. That sounds like a lot. But the electrons do oppose each other violently. It's called the Casimir effect. Anytime you push electron against electron, they start to glow. And here it is right here. Here it is precisely right here. We're shooting light through here. You see that? This light is starting to accelerate and smash into these particles, and they're starting to glow. Back here, it's the same light, but it's not glowing. Here, it's starting to accelerate, and here is the acceleration starting to really take off right here. Zoom! Bam! And the Venturi is what forces it to accelerate. And then it squirts out all the white particles and keeps the black from joining in the party. So the black go all by themselves around the whole thing, and this is nothing but white particles. And that is what we need to harvest free energy. And this is a device I am proposing to harvest that free energy. Transition metal, thin film collector here, photodiode, slapping those particles. So only the white. The black can't get through. Only the white. It's slap, slap, slap. And they slap like crazy. And they'll squirt that white right down into our batteries or our devices and do whatever we need to. And it slaps. You want to see it slap? I'll show you an excellent slap. You see that? That's the white and the black coming through together, but the white is been highly accelerated because of the Venturi. Some of the black is squeaking through. You see the black pushing it? I showed a house being burnt up, and it takes a little second or two later for the black to catch up with it, because the black is the pusher, the white is the burner. All right, what didn't I show you? I probably showed you everything by now. You know that they're coming in bundles and just not one little particle. There's just a bazillion of them at a time coming. And these are our completely separated white particles and smashing in and causing Higgs fields. These are Higgs fields they've been trying like crazy to make. We could squirt those out by the trillions in seconds. And space is filled with particles, so light slows down. There's no vacuum in space whatsoever. And this is what space looks like. Like I said the other day, you need a vacuum to clean it up. It's a mess out there. Light comes through there. You can't tell me that light is traveling at the same speed because there's a vacuum. There is no vacuum. And Fermilab agrees with that. Of course, they're in big trouble. They're out for bid, it sounds like. Here it is right here, quantum foam. Empty space isn't empty. They know this. And here's about the majority of neutrinos. That's the two neutrinos that we see in the light. And here's what they see too. Here they are right here. These are two particles, and they do exactly what I say they do. The black one is fixed. The black fixed one is just a one big solid thing. It never changes. The point-like ones are mathematical extractions, zero size. I don't know about that, but it's, boy, it's almost nothing. But it has an extended field around it, and that's what glows, and that's what I showed. All right, watch this close. This is light, and there's just a billion particles, literally hundreds of thousands of particles at a time coming through. This is what it looks like coming head on. You see these particles? Look at this. It almost looks like it's like writing or something coming head on. This is right as it's coming, hitting head on. And this is what the energetic values look like. But what I'm getting at is the particles are just bazillions of them at a time. And anytime you see glow, they're crossing each other's paths. They're pushing against each other. Pushing and shoving causes glow. And when you crush fields, it causes glow. Now, this is the thing that captured my attention here. And we did not do this picture, and I'm not sure where this came from. I can't remember, and I remember trying to contact the people that did it, and I never got any response. I'm going to leave it at that. If somebody knows, I'd be interested. However, what I do see is this arrangement of particles. You see the 6 of them, little 6-pack with a hole in the middle? They're everywhere. They are literally everywhere. Just take a look. Take your time. There's a 6-pack here. This makes another 6-pack, 6-pack, 6-pack. They're everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Now, why are some of them black and white and some of them just sort of yellowish looking with no black in them? And why are they all spun up in a circle like that? And it's very interesting looking now. I have some ideas, and I have, but I don't know if they're right or not. But I believe this is light coming at us, and these are those Higgs fields. Where I got some here. All right, these are coming at us here. Basically the same sort of thing. This is right from the accelerator coming right out of here. The white showers, remember? And now they're starting to reincorporate with the black particles. And that's what appears to me, turning into Higgs fields, which is back into matter, basically. When they came to us, the white particles, that's all they were was the white. Just like I think I showed you in the atomic bomb blast. And all they came through was with the white. You see it? And then they reattach to black matter. So black matter has to be just laying around over here. These didn't smash here and then go all the way around here and come up in front. No, I can't believe that. As a matter of fact, I can pretty much show you that that's not the case. All the black is behind the white. You see a little taste of black here because the white will force a blackness in front of the next concussion of whiteness. You see it? Tiniest, tiniest taste of black precedes the white. It's always push to shove with a black between the white and a black between the white. And this particular Venturi allowed some black to push all that white. Very, very, very cool stuff. And this is what Fermilab, CERN, all of them wanted to do. And again, we're in the arm of the Milky Way, and we are surrounded by dust everywhere. So the space telescopes, they take nice pictures, but they're not any good for measuring distances. Because it's not homogeneous, first of all. Secondly, we have no idea what's out in front of us. Or thirdly, our climate is changing pretty quick and pretty dramatically, and all these hurricanes and floods, tornadoes, all this just recently, it could be that we're hitting a dense place in space. Now, how could you tell if it's dense in space or just from just nothing? Well, here's how you could tell. If the sun is becoming very active, the sun is in the same space we're in, and it's being pulled through one of the arms of the Milky Way. All right, through the same space we have to go through with it. So if it gets all flustered, well, probably it's getting impacted. So are we get all flustered at the same time? Well, we're probably going through a denser region of space. Now, there is another possibility, and that's that we have filled up our atmosphere so full that we are scrubbing through, as we circle the sun and we get scrubbed through the Milky Way, we are a bigger ball, and we're scrubbing harder at our atmosphere, and which creates all this turmoil and hurricanes, floods, climate shifting, really disastrous changes to our, sort of steady weather patterns we've always hoped for, and a little up, a little down, but not like this. I don't believe this is something that is even sustainable. And there's several reasons for this, but primarily it's our scrubbing through the particles that are in front of us as we scrub. Now, is it because we're just getting bigger and it goes scrubbing it so the atmosphere is getting harder? Maybe. Or is it that we're hitting a real bright spot which has a lot of pushback? Because every time you push a particle into anything, I don't care if it's in space or if it's in light, you're going to get a glow. The more glow, the more heat. The more heat, the more push. The more push, the more violence in our atmosphere, which is basically our atmosphere here. It should be like this back here, nice and happy little fluffy waves, nice. Everybody's happy. Be happy, don't worry. Start to worry, you're going to be unhappy. Because I'm telling you right now, things are not looking good. Now, the only way I can see is to stop combustion. First of all, turning solids into gases, that's a main problem. And making free energy, that's the only way. We're drilling into the earth, destroying the waters and the fabric of the earth. It's not good. So, my point being is, I'd love to get involved in trying to figure out how to use this to make free energy. I think I showed you this, but I will again. You can never show it too often. I think this interaction at the Venturi is enough to create free energy. Right there. This should be free energy. Right there. And it should be way huge amounts of free energy. Because once that white separates from that black, apparently, the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, 207 times is the attraction from the white back to the black, which is like gravity. The black is very, very, very attractive to the white. And it pushes the white. It's a carrier. It's a carrier boson. Look it up. I love you all. Hopefully we'll get this straightened out and get Fermilab doing their work. And again, all of that was done with this. So I think we could do a little better for a little less. All right. If they're putting it out for bid, whoever's bidding on it, they should be required to take a look at this. They can bid and do any kind of bid they want for billions and billions of dollars, but to do this real research for real inexpensive and lead to a benefit to humanity, not just some intellectual gymnastics to prove that, whatever they want to prove. Standard model's not right. Absolutely not right. And electron flood theory just says there's two particles, a black one and a white one. Case closed. The white one gets big, it gets small. The black one never changes. That's it.